Big game in the Pac-12, and it goes the Ducks' way at the Rose Bowl, 34-31. Hopefully you watched it, because we're not going to be able to do anything close to try to relive it for you. We'll do our best, and we got the right guy here, Ryan Winter, Sports Chat 503, to tell us all about it. Ryan, how you doing?
Oh, great, Mark. Living life out here.
Good stuff. Great to catch you by the beach. That's good life right there. Hang out by the beach, watch a great football game, take it in. Good stuff. Good stuff there.
Living life. Talking to you. Can't get any better.
Talking to me. That's included as well, Ryan. Appreciate that you tacked that on as well.
Let's go.
DJ James makes the play at the end against the backup quarterback for UCLA. And what a back and forth we had in the fourth quarter, and just game of run after run after run. UCLA goes up 14-0. They scored the final 2 touchdowns of the game, so they scored 4 touchdowns there. But in between, it was Oregon's game. So DJ James makes the play on the ball, kind of fittingly in regards to some redemption, because he had the penalty against Stanford at the end of that loss to the Cardinal.
I mean, just a weird game. I mean, you knew what you're going to get. You're going to get 2 teams that are fairly comparable. Both teams have looked, good during the year, and then haven't really looked so good during the year. They're the 2 teams that had the signature wins out of the Pac-12. In the non-conference. They're the only teams probably in the Pac-12 that had the non-conference. Now, Mark, again, East Coast bias doesn't exist with you. You've got a very fair temperament about the Pac-12, and we really appreciate that, all the way out here on the edge of the continent. But it is one of these things where, that game is a game that Oregon needed to have, and they needed to set the tone early and often. And they got down so big. They dug such a huge hole, down 14-0, looked like the sky was falling. And to climb out of that and to put a pretty good product on the field and then have it all kind of feel like it fell apart at the end is just the roller coaster that this year feels like it's going to be. This was the game I thought maybe if they get another touchdown or 2, this could be the blowout win that they are looking for all year. Oh, no. Went right down to a field goal, which is what I thought it was going to be the whole time. I just didn't think it was going to end like this. And you got to give Chip Kelly and the Bruins a lot of credit. Those guys were flying around. They were trying their best. But, man, the ball bounced in Oregon's way. And Anthony Brown, game manager, we've said that numerous times, right, did what he needed to do in this game to kind of, I think, quiet some of the boo birds that they were hearing at Autzen Stadium last week.
Anthony Brown, yes, let's go there. The 2 picks were pretty bad. But other than that, he had, would you say, his best game since Ohio State, and certainly contributed as a runner as well.
Yeah, most complete game, I would say. Read the right reads, made the right plays, and then, of course, yes, used his feet, had a great touchdown. Yeah, I would say, again, this year has been kind of up and down with him, right? And there's been a lot of talk about the freshman. But this is a game that would have been difficult, I think, for the freshmen to handle. This is one of these games that at the beginning of the year, you're thinking, okay, you've got this super senior. He's going to do something good for you on the road sometime in a crucial clutch situation. And I think the next one's going to be at Washington, where you're going to see another one of these type of games where it's going to be a absolute slugfest toward the end and see who can make the plays at the end. But the defense won the game here. The defense is what has been over the last 3 or 4 years the better side of the ball for Oregon. The defense is where they're getting the top flight recruits. The defense is where they have the best player on the field, which is Kayvon Thibodeau, who had another amazing game. I mean, the tape that he's putting on for NFL Films is just incredible. And you just got to ride the wave with the defense. So the defense came up clutch. The offense gave up some key field position into that game with those interceptions, like you said. And defense held strong and did what they needed to do to get what looks like kind of maybe at the end of that game a little bit of an ugly win. But during the third quarter, which has haunted the Ducks this year, the Ducks looked very good and were in real control of the game from the second and third quarter on. They were so bad in the first quarter, and then at the end, they just let a lot through the gates there to make it so close.
Devin Williams with some big plays, and it was, again, pretty obvious with Anthony Brown running the ball that it was kind of forced into his hands by the UCLA defense. Did not want Travis Dye to beat them. This UCLA rushing attack has been serious, and to your point about the overall defensive play, but also the rush defense and holding Zach Charbonnet to 35 yards on 15 carries, 2.3 yards per carry. Britton Brown didn't do much better. Just this Oregon defense has gotten it to this point at 6-1.
That's the stat of the game right there. I mean, this is a team that was, like I said earlier in the year, they were running power out of the spread better than Mario was running power out of power formations. And they showed up. Again, the defense has been the better side of the ball for years for Oregon. The better recruits have come on that side of the ball. And we've been expecting to see some of these games where the defense needs to win the game for you. Maybe even at the fault of the offense. Now, the offense looked much better today. Much more efficient. Much better. You knew you were going to score the ball. Earlier in this year against Stanford and Cal, there were times where you did not know if you were going to score the ball or not. Today, it was not a question. It felt like you were going to go down there. Even if you had not given up those interceptions, those would have probably turned into touchdowns as well, the way that Oregon has moved the ball. Micah Pittman had a great game today. Micah has had a kind of a frustrating season this year. He's a guy that has a lot of potential. And early in the game, Jalen Redd got hurt. And it looked like it was another opportunity for a next man up kind of situation. And I think Micah Pittman had one of the offensive plays of the day today. Just, a lot of volume catches. And, they run the ball out of passing the ball too now as well. So late game management of the clock looked like it was perfect until they threw that interception. I did not like the play at the end where they threw the ball into the end zone, got that last interception. I didn't think that was necessary. I think you just run the ball and you just do what you do there. And run the clock. They only had the one timeout left, make them stop you. But again, I also kind of like the gambler aspect. Joe Moorhead putting the foot on the gas pedal, saying we're going to win this game. We're going to win this game with points late, and maybe even some style points crept in there to the mind. I don't know. But it was a dicey situation. UCLA has got great players on both sides of the ball, and you got to really tip your cap to Chip because, the guy, he does what he does. Man, that first quarter, boy, they were having Oregon guessing big time. So a huge game for the Ducks today.
Yeah, to your point. So for anybody that wasn't watching the game, Oregon up 34-31. There's about 2.5 on the clock, and they've got the ball in plus field position, probably at the UCLA 35 yard line, something in that range. Not necessarily just the play call, but then the decision to throw the ball. If you design something that catches UCLA on its heels and they blow a coverage and somebody's wide open and you can, ice the game, that's one thing. But Anthony Brown, from all vantage points on the camera angles on that throw, just
terrible
for some reason. No reason to throw the football in that situation.
Absolutely. I mean, live to fight another play and run the ball, run the clock. I mean, they were not able to stop the run very well. The way that Anthony Brown runs the ball personally. But, there was another fumble today. Chris Hudson, a freshman. And we've been saying this also, this whole season is you play freshmen, you're going to have to deal with their ball security issues sometimes. And that's going to pop up at a bad time. And Oregon defense able to hold tight and didn't make that big of a difference at the end. But, yeah, I was very impressed with the way Anthony Brown spread the ball around. I was impressed that he was going through his reads. There was times earlier in the year that he was getting knocked off his reads. And I don't know what it would have been like had DTR been able to finish the game. I hate to see any sort of injury, again, especially to a guy like him. Very special player, and he looked like he was having a pretty good game today, and it would have been one of those situations. We've seen that before, right? We've seen some magic with him late in the game, and I was expecting it again. I thought, here we go with a late touchdown to win it, because Chip would have gone for the touchdown rather than the field goal. And it was one of those games where, again, you said it, sealed it with the interception, just like in the Ohio State game, sealed with an interception late.
That last drive, UCLA kept making mistakes to put itself behind the sticks, and DTR kept bailing them out. He converted 2 fourth downs with precision passing, was really on a good roll as they had crossed midfield, and then he gets hurt, and Garbers throws the interception for UCLA again. DJ James wraps it up for the win. 6-1, 3-1 in the conference, maintaining pace with Oregon State, who still just has the one loss, and who knows, we may be headed toward a fun one on that final weekend. Colorado coming up at Washington State at Utah. That's going to be a difficult one, of course. May see the Utes again. And then, of course, Oregon State. So if you could try to pull anything out of this football team, in addition to what you've seen, that you think that they could improve on or give us here in the final 4 or 5 games? What would that be?
Yeah, I mean, I think they just need to continue to run the ball. You know, they have that identity of they continually run the ball to pass the ball. And today it felt like they switched it a little bit. It felt like they were starting to put the ball in Anthony's hands a little bit and started to throw the ball so then they could run the ball. Flipped it a little bit, and I think that worked in their advantage today. You know, the defense is the key thing. You need to keep guys healthy. This is a team that's been bitten by the injury bug big time this year, and they're a very thin lineup. Now they've gotten some guys healthy, but they're still really, really banged up. And they lost another offensive lineman today. That really hurts freshman offensive lineman Jackson Powers Johnson. So I think that they need to continue to run the ball as best they can, because I think in the Pac-12 going forward, I think they're going to be better than most teams they're going to face. Utah is going to be a major challenge, and you're right. The Beef game at the end of the year, which is awesome for us out here in Oregon. We want that game to be great. You know, the Beavs have not held up their end of the bargain for years. And there were years where the Ducks didn't hold up their end of the bargain and the Beavs were good too. But this year, Oregon needs a little redemption. They need teams to get better in the Pac-12. They need the Pac-12 to start to show up a little bit, which means Utah probably beats the Beavs today, and needs the Pac-12 to continue to kind of pick itself up a little bit. And then Oregon needs to continue to win. And I think Colorado next week will be a great game. Colorado did not look good today. And I think that'll be a great game for Oregon to pick the pieces up night before Halloween, be a little bit of a party at Autzen. Could be a bit of a trap game because the big game at Washington is looming, and that's going to be an awesome one. I'll be there. I'll be up in Seattle. It'll be a super fun atmosphere. Hopefully it's during the day. At night it gets a little dicey up there, but you know, Washington State also is a team to really watch out for. They're a team that could be a real wild card, and they could throw a wrench in this whole thing. I could see Oregon beating Colorado and Washington, and then having a real tough time with Washington State for whatever reason. And again, the Utah game up at Salt Lake the week before the Beav game has been the game that I've said all year is going to be the one that's very difficult to win. The way that Utah plays, Kyle Whittingham's teams always get better as the season goes on. Feels like they finally found their situation with their quarterback. They know they have the strong running game, and special teams, defense is strong, good offensive line play as well. So that's a team that's just very steady year after year. So I think it's going to be down to those two teams, and the way that Utah played against ASU, I don't think there's really anybody else in the South that can hang with Utah right now. And if they do what we're expecting them to do against Oregon State today, it could set up for an absolutely huge game, like you're saying, maybe even a game where they do a rematch in the Pac-12 championship if Oregon wins out.
Folks, join us for our late night call-in show. And for those of you on the West Coast, it's not necessarily a late night call-in show, but about 11:30 Eastern time. So do the conversion, 8 or 8:30 on the West Coast here at the Voice of College Football. We take your calls, wrap up the big day in college football. Also, check out Ryan's work, Sports Chat 503. We always pull in Ryan to help us break down the Ducks. We will, for you UCLA fans, we will take the UCLA side as well a little bit later, so be looking out for that post as well. Ryan, always appreciate you stopping by and breaking it down for us.
Appreciate you, Mark. Best in the biz, man.